Gender Force.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing? Man, I just got on, checked out something that I'm pretty sure that right now, with Donald Trump in office, plus the guy, what's the guy that's head of California? Well, I mean, probably people that's not in California won't care about it, but it's a guy that works for the governor, like I guess what you say, the vice president, the vice governor. I don't know how to say that because I don't know about politics. But anyway, it's about why do everybody at this time hate feminists?
That's not even close to as about as why this dude hates feminists. It has nothing to do with politics. I don't think I only watched like 2 minutes of it.
I mean, I don't honestly tell you the truth. I really don't know what it has anything to do with. But I know for a fact that I'm one of the people that, to me and the way I live, like the feminist thing doesn't bother me. But I can understand in other titles how it would. So that's why I'm bringing this video to you. I want you guys to leave some comments and tell me what you think after the video. But you probably have to watch the whole video.
Can we watch the video now?
Immediately before you actually make a comment or even turn it off. Just watch it all the way through. That's all I'm asking. Let's get through.
Why I don't respect feminism. I agree that no society is perfect. Yes, we still have both sexism and rape, as well as unfair expectations of both men and women. But I don't see the modern feminist movement doing anything to help any of that. I actually see them actively making those things worse. Feminists continue to complain about wanting the same rights as men, but when pressed to list which rights men have, which women don't in this...
What does this read? 10 legal advantages women have that men don't. Women are immune to conscription? What did that say? Conscription? Right there, what did that say?
Conscripted.
Conscription, whatever.
Wait, I don't get it.
Women pay less tax out of proportion to the earning gap. Female business owners can get special tax benefits simply for being female. Divorce proceedings are unfairly slanted in favor of women, especially when it comes to child custody. It is illegal to circumcise girls, but not. How do you circumcise a girl? I don't know. Women get more lenient sentences for equivalent crimes.
Wait, what right?
And before we start this
again,
hey, what right do we have that they don't?
In Africa, they definitely does that.
What?
They don't have a choice. Women get circumcised there. They don't have a choice.
How restricted they? Whatever. A woman who
Another
gets
video.
A woman who gets pregnant from stealing sperm or raping a man can sue her victim for sex. I know that actually goes both ways, so whatever. Even if a man is found to be not the father of a child he is paying child support for, he's still legally obligated to pay off the debt.
And everybody know that's serious.
In Cali, a woman can declare a man to be the father of her child, and it's up to him to prove that he isn't. And if he doesn't do so in 30 days, a court can rule him that he's legally responsible for the child.
And that's why I mentioned. That's why I mentioned. If you live in California, to you this is really going to be, really going to be important.
You just said
because
California,
the person, the governor, God, I keep saying it, the vice president of the governor, the person that's right above them, is one of the persons that is pushing this child support and killing our guys in California with child support. I mean, we have no rights when we go in that court building, but let's finish.
Up to 2013, an FBI defined rape in such a way that a man could basically never be considered a victim.
Western democracy.
And here it says, I'm so oppressed, a man interrupted me at work today while I was doing my job. I'm barely competent to... That says competent. Competent to perform, which I was hired for anyway, to fill the affirmative action of quota with a
democracy of ours. Yeah. They can't name any. That's why they resort to pointing to the supposed wage gap. which I and many others have
not really men get paid more than women.
We're not doing it like that.
I know, reading is boring.
Yeah,
already debunked, and the so-called rape culture, which they claim celebrates and protects rapists, the very notion of which is absurd considering a rape accusation is all it takes to ruin a man's life, even if it's completely unfounded. They spread fallacious theories about domestic violence being a tool of the patriarchy, which men use to keep women under control, ignoring the fact that nearly half of all domestic abuse victims are men, and that more than 2/3 of...
Hold on, this is important. Half of all intimate partners violence cases are repercussional.
Actually, they men.
And women are aggressors in majority of I can't read that for some reason.
And then the thing about this page right here is women know that if the police is called and it's been any fighting, the man usually is going to go to jail. So, and the man knows that too. So that's why we would get hit most of the time and we won't do anything.
Even though a man who abuses their partners are more likely to inflict injury, women initiate violence more often. Those who go against common arguments that women who engage in violence against their partners are merely defending themselves.
Domestic violence is perpetrated by women. They point to depictions of women in media and claim it normalizes sexist attitudes and rape without providing any data to back it up. And they point to Barbie dolls and claim it perpetuates unrealistic standards of beauty, while completely ignoring the standards enforced by overly muscled He-Man action figures, which arguably promote the idealized male form as being an aggressive and overly muscled warrior who should be willing to endanger his own life when duty calls. And let's not forget the portrayal of fathers in media. How many fictional fathers can you think of who aren't stupid and grossly negligent Homer Simpson archetypes who, if it weren't for the benefit of a sensitive and intelligent wife to straighten them out, would be a domestic abuser? I don't see any feminists complaining about that. Whether they are doing it with willful intent or just out of gross ignorance, the feminist movement is actively creating an unequal society. We now live in a nation where men are always presumed to be the aggressors in domestic violence cases, despite data which suggests the contrary. A woman can sue a man for child support if she gets pregnant after raping him, and a man can lose his job just at the mere accusation of sexual harassment. The idea of a rape culture has been so deeply ingrained into campus culture that men are now required to attend consent seminars as if prejudged as potential rapists just for being men, and men are so afraid of being falsely accused of rape that they avoid going anywhere alone because they want a witness to testify on their behalf as to where they've been. Even in grade school, normal boy behavior has been pathologized to the point where 1 in 7 boys are diagnosed with ADHD and put on pills. The feminist movement has vilified men to the point where any injustice men face is now seen as justified.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So that's 22. Wow.
That's at least, I'm going to say about 30, that's about 30 things.
What?
I would read all of this, but he's just going to...
Yeah, video will be too long.
And this is institutionalized. This inequality is encoded in law, enforced among employees at corporations, and perpetrated by college administrations. This is systemic sexism. Our society considers men disposable, and it always has. Women aren't subjected to selective service. They're the first ones to be rescued in a disaster. It's completely acceptable for a woman to hit a man, but not the other way around. And nobody bats an eye at a homeless man, but a homeless woman is such a tragedy that she gets all of the handouts. Hell, up until a few years ago, the FBI defined rape in such a way that men can almost never legally be considered victims, and there are no domestic abuse shelters for men. I've never seen a feminist speak out against any of this, but I have seen at least a few feminists fight in support of these things. With all of this in mind, it makes me sick when I see feminists complain about such trivial nonsense as manspreading, catcalling, and fictional characters being just a little too busty. The modern Western feminist lives such a comfortable life that she has the time to complain about a guy spreading his legs too far apart on the subway, and if she wanted to, she could cut his penis off and the female hosts of a daytime talk show would laugh about it, and so would their audience. But I'm the one who's sexist if I complain about it because, according to feminist theory, I have privilege, and the power structure gives advantages to men. What advantages? They can't say, but because of this power structure, sexism towards men doesn't exist. According to feminism, I am so privileged that I don't even have the right to talk about gender issues. All of my opinions on the subject are automatically invalid because I am a man. And if I wanted to talk about any of this at a university, feminists would sign petitions to ban me as a rape apologist. If that didn't work, they would draw signs and protest outside the lecture hall, yelling slogans and calling anyone who dared to attend the lecture sexist scum. I am a man. I am evil. I am disposable. I am privileged. And the feminist movement doesn't care about me because my male tears are delicious.
This is actually, what is the word?
Male tears are delicious.
Male tears. What is the word?
I don't know what it is.
This is, what is it,
Is that supposed to be an insult? Drinking male.
This is actually an insult to themselves, but they don't know it. Just look up male tears on Urban Dictionary. You'll know what I mean.
The thing is, I actually do care about gender equality. I will gladly point out real sexism when I see it being done against women, something which Western feminists bafflingly neglect to do when it's being perpetrated by anyone who isn't a straight white male in a Western country. But feminists don't return the favor. Their narrative is that I am the cause of all the world's problems, and I have to be the one to change, to make sacrifices, and give more and more to them because of this imaginary boogeyman called the patriarchy, which they claim gives me all of the systemic advantages in society despite everything I just listed. The concept of a patriarchy is central to their ideology, and this core makes the ideology paint me as the oppressor and the villain, and I'm sick of it. I'm not a catcaller, I'm not a wife beater, I'm not a rapist, but I'm held accountable for the actions of the few men who do these things, and that's bullshit. And it's exactly the type of bullshit being perpetrated by BuzzFeed, Salon, Everyday Feminism, and Jezebel. The idea that men are the problem, that we should be ashamed of what we are, and that masculinity is toxic and needs to be stamped out. And it's this mentality that has led to most of the inequalities that I listed above. Feminists may claim they don't hate men, but actions speak louder than words. Even the people who call themselves feminists who don't spread these falsehoods are still in the same bag as far as I'm concerned. Feminism is inherently anti-male, and it's anti-male because it's entirely predicated on the notion that there exists a patriarchy which unilaterally privileges men to the detriment of women. The fact that no feminist can name a legal right men have which women don't, while I can name several women have which men don't, makes this idea demonstrably false. But since feminism hinges on the narrative of perpetual systemic female victimhood at the hands of a male-controlled society, they can't acknowledge the systemic inequalities faced by men. They have to ignore or deny the realities of male victims of domestic abuse who are denied recourse, the high rate of male suicide, the difficulties faced by men and boys in education, the high rate of male homelessness, and so on. In this worldview, men are the oppressors, the rapists, the wife beaters, and the enemies. Men can never be the victims because any acknowledgement that maybe men don't have it so great is an admission that the idea that our male-controlled society favors men may not be so valid, and that maybe women are perpetual victims of the big bad patriarchy after all. Feminism needs legitimacy, so it needs a villain to fight against. So they cling to this false narrative about men keeping women down with a system designed to keep men at the top, and so they must refuse to acknowledge that men are also the ones making up the bottom. They need the patriarchy. They need a windmill to fight. If these people really believed in equality, without also believing all of the inequalities that exist between the genders are unilaterally slated in favor of men at the expense of women, they wouldn't call themselves feminists. They would call themselves egalitarians. But they don't do that. Instead, they engage in damage control and insist that feminism is about equality because it says so in the dictionary, and in doing so, they demonstrate that they don't really care about equality. What they really care about is the label and their ability to claim a monopoly on equality. But you cannot claim to be a movement for equality between the genders when you are exclusively concerned with the issues of one to the complete exclusion of the other. But that's what feminism is all about, and that's why I don't respect feminism. If you call yourself a feminist but you agree that all of the things I've talked about are wrong, then you need to stop calling yourself a feminist. It is a toxic label. You don't need to call yourself a feminist to be an advocate for equality. Feminism doesn't hold a monopoly on that as much as they like to think they do. And if you truly value equality, you will drop the feminist label and stop trying to defend it because it is destructive, divisive, counterintuitive, and predicated on lies and misinformation. Feminism is bullshit, and it is unworthy of respect.
Wow.
Equality was like
and that was great. That was really good. One of the things I want to say about that is, especially like if you're in California, I'll speak on the child support because that's the one thing that does affect me. men don't have no power over that. So
I
now,
don't get it.
as me, as older than these two guys here, the best choice I can tell them is actually just don't even mess with women unless the woman is offering you more than your life can offer you at the moment. And I know that kind of sounds bitchy, but my dad would have told me something as in maybe just wear a rubber, or he might have told me mess with the good kind of woman that has good morals and stuff like that. But the way it's set up now, you can't do that. You can't even give advice like that because a woman, even with good stuff, even a woman with even good morals, can ruin you. The only way a woman won't ruin you is she has, to me, as a feminist, a woman has a business or she has more to lose in her life than you, and that's what I would do. But in my advice, like I told you, I would just tell the guys don't even deal with that type of thing until you really ready to have everything set up and you have a lawyer and you have the woman that you really want to deal with sign some papers by a lawyer, just like you was doing a house deal or contract before you deal with it, because that's how serious California made child support. Anyway, Benjamin, Airbow, back in the house again with another video.
Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment, because I'm planning on doing a Q&A. So comment some questions.
We're not planning on doing anything with
No, yeah, leave them comments, man. Tell me what you think about it.
We are not
ask us questions for a Q&A.
Or a